So now you are the window, okay? And then the VO says, "Tell me about your career goals. What are your career goals?" So you go to the US Embassy, and then the visa officer has a question for you, and it's about your career goals. So the visa officer is going to ask you about your career goals. Not all the time, but you might face the occasion where you are asked about your career goals and how you're going to answer it. So in this video, I'm simply going to talk about how to answer questions like what are your career goals, right? How to answer such a question at the interview, and then whether you have intentions of working in the United States during your studies as an F1 student on F1 visa, and whether you have English language test written. So I have something written down here that I'll be reading out to you as ways in which you could answer this question. So now you are the window, okay? And then the VO says, "Tell me about your career goals. What are your career goals?" Now remember, you are every applicant is already thought to have immigrant intent, right? Unless proven otherwise. So I say this all the time. In the court of law, you are innocent until proven guilty. But at the visa interview, you are guilty until proven innocent that you will not stay in the United States. Okay. So what are your career goals? I'm looking at someone in the area of pediatric neurology. Okay, so this is how the career goal could be like. Now, what are your career goals? Tell me about your career goals. The visa officer asks you, and you would say that I'm planning to pursue a comprehensive academic program that focuses on pediatric neurology, including research opportunities, clinical rotations, specialized coursework, and all. By studying in US, I'll have access to world-class educational institutions and cutting-edge research facilities and renowned medical experts in the field. Upon completing my studies, I plan to return to my home country, maybe Ghana, maybe Nigeria, maybe Kenya, maybe China, right? I plan to return to my home country and contribute to the advancement of pediatric neurology. I envision establishing specialized clinics or research centers to address specific healthcare needs of children with neurological disorders in their community. By applying the knowledge, skills, and techniques that I will learn during my studies in the US, I aim to enhance the diagnosis, the treatment, and overall care provided to pediatric patients with neurological conditions. I recognize the importance of collaboration and knowledge exchange between different medical communities globally, and I intend to establish international partnerships and collaborations between my country and those in the United States. This will facilitate the exchange of expertise, research findings, and best practices in pediatric neurology, ultimately benefiting both countries. And in addition to specific focus on pediatric neurology, I aim to contribute to the overall development of healthcare systems in my country, Ghana. And I recognize the importance of addressing healthcare disparities to improve access to quality care and implementing evidence-based practices. So this is an example of how you could approach answering career goals. So if this is a program that you want to take, then I've helped you straight away. Okay, but then if it's a different program, you want to come from that perspective, okay, of answering that question. So that is an example of how to answer a career goal. You want to always tie it back to your home country, always going back to your home country to add value. Then you may be asked, do you have intentions of working in the US? And you might say, oh yeah, I want to work after school. No, you're already showing immigrant intent. So what you want to say is that no, you have to go back to your country. So you don't have intentions of working in the US. As you said early on, you have career goals and then you want to be able to fulfill them. And that is only fulfilled when you go back to your home country. So you want to answer it in that direction. You don't have intentions of working in the US. Then you might be asked whether you have taken any language tests. And this is where the TOEFL, the GRE, and the IELTS come in. So sometimes you might have a school having these English language test scores as requirements, admission requirements, in the sense that you have to write them and obtain the minimal score for admission before you are let in or you are admitted officially. So sometimes some schools don't even require it. So don't bother yourself if your school doesn't require it as part of the admission requirements. Okay, if it's not a prerequisite, don't bother yourself. But if it is, you make sure you've written the test. And then if you're asked, have you written any English language test? You say yes. That is if you've written it. Yes, I've written the GRE. And don't end there. Because when you say, oh yeah, I've written GRE, and then you are quiet, you are just giving the visa officer more work to do by trying to now probe further and say, okay, what was your score? But what you want to say is that I wrote a test, I wrote my GRE, and I scored 300 over 340. So right then you're just going ahead to give him the score. And we have verbal section and we have quantitative. Verbal is English, quantitative is math. So it's just English and math. So I scored 300 out of 340. Don't just say 300. It's 300 over 340 for both. And then you could say that I scored 150 in verbal, 150 over 170, and I scored 150 over 170 in quantitative because each one is 170 and both is 340. So that's how you want to answer the question. I scored 150 over 170. I scored 150 over 170. And then the visa officer says, okay, all right. Maybe you wrote a TOEFL. TOEFL, I think it's 120 if I'm not wrong. And maybe you scored 98, right? We have reading, listening, writing, and speaking. So you could say I scored 98 or I scored 100 over 120. And don't just say 100 over 120. I scored this in, if the view is still quiet, you could still go on and talk about how you scored different scores for each of the sections in the exam, right? So these are ways you could attempt to answer the question what your career goals are and the intentions of working in the United States during your studies and whether you've written any English language test scores. So if you still have questions about these, you can join my Telegram group. You'll find the link down below in the video description. Just scroll down and open the description. I have a lot of people, or some people, ask me how do you find the link. The link is either on the video or down in the description, so you can find it there, and then you click to join, and we'll be having free mock interview sessions from time to time, so you can have a chance to know what it feels like to be before a pseudo VO, which is myself. Right. So in the future, I look to add more people who can serve as visa officers, so we have consistent interview sessions. Okay. All right. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next. Bye.